Good morning, afternoon, evening, whatever it is by you. We are now going to talk about solving linear inequalities. And in our first example with this, we are going to basically show you, do a quick little review of how the symbols work and all of that, and then how we graph these things. All right. So the first thing we need to just discuss and get out of the way is how we read these things, right? So you've got this sign, you've got this sign, you've got this, and you've got this, all right? And so, you can see these two look alike, these two look alike. And most of you remember this, but that's okay. So if you have this, right, this would read as x is less than y, right? It would read that x is less than y. And then this one, right, would be greater than. And that's when you read these, you start with the variable and you go the other direction, right? And most of the time we try to make it so the variable's on the left side, but we will do an example where it's on the right, and we'll talk about that. Now, when there is a line under it, right? So when you have this going on, right, where you have a line under that, it's basically the same thing. This would be, x is less than, and then you say or equal to. So you have half of an equal sign there, right? Equal to y, right? So that's going to kind of change how we graph it. We'll talk about that in a minute. And then this one is the same, except it's greater, right? Greater than or equal to y. So it's the same as this, but it's just writing it or saying it with greater, because it's that. And so if you have a hard time remembering that, look at the arrow, and the point of the arrow will always go to the smaller number, right? So it kind of points. Think of it as pointing at smaller number, all right, or smaller value, we'll say. Pointing at the smaller value. Okay, so let's go through our first example here now that we got that out of the way. It says solve an inequality using adding and subtraction. And we're going to do this first one. We have y minus 6 is less than 3. So the way we're going to approach this is the same way we would if it were an equation. And then as we go along, we'll talk about some of the things that are different about this. All right, so what we would do if it were an equation is we would look at it, say, okay, do I have to clean anything up? No, it's ready to be solved. Then you would say, all right, then what you would say is, okay, do we do we need to move um, do we need to move things around to get variables on one side and numbers on the other side? And the answer is yes, right? We have variables and numbers on this side, and we have just numbers over there. So let's move this 6 over by doing the opposite. So if it's being subtracted, you are going to add it. So you add 6. So you get y is less than 9. All right, and at this point, because your coefficient is 1, you're finished. So the next step is we got to graph these things, as it says, graph the solution set, right? So y is less than, right? That means you're going to have an arrow going this way because you're talking about numbers that are less than something. Think about how a number line is set up, right? So we're going to put our number, when it's less than, it's going this way. You'll put your number over kind of on the right somewhere. So I'm going to put my number right here. We're going to say, we're going to call this 9, all right? And what you're going to do then is you're going to put a circle around your 9, okay? So I'm going to put a circle around 9. And then we are going to draw an arrow showing what direction the values are that apply to this. Well, if it's less than 9, it's going to be any values that are smaller than that. So that's going to be values that are to the left of that, right? And so I'm gonna experiment with trying to use this line function here. So we're going to go here, and we're going to go like this, right? And then we're going to make it a little bigger if it will let us, right? Let's go like this, all right? Maybe take it, raise it a little bit, and then, I guess not, and then you just put your arrow, right? So it's all values that are going this way. Now, the thing I didn't mention is when you have less than or greater than. So when you have less than or greater than, you are going to have an open circle. The reason the circle is open is because it means all these values apply except the actual value 9. Because think about what this is saying. This is saying y is less than 9. It does not include 9. If I say, hey, I need fewer than 9 donuts. If you bring me 9 donuts, you weren't you weren't listening. You weren't following directions, right? If you bring me 8 donuts, then we're good, right? So you got to think about it that way, right? So if it doesn't include the number, then you leave it open, right? And that open signifies that, hey, it's not part of our solution set. And then when it does include the number, which is the equal, you will have a filled circle. And we will have some examples of those coming up. All right. If you want to try this one, pause the video. You can. If not, we're going to move forward ahead. So I'm going to slide this down. All right. So for this one, I am going to pick a side for the variables and pick a side for the numbers. So I like going to the side that has more of the variable whenever possible. So I am going to move over here because 5 is just a little bigger than 4. All right. So you go negative 4x. All right. So gets rid of it here. And this gives you 1x, which we just write as x. You know, x minus 3 is greater than 2. Now we will get x by itself by moving this 3 over, because we want numbers on one side, variables on the other. And you get x is greater than 5. So because this is a greater than, that means it's going to be values that are going this direction, right? That are bigger than in terms of a number line, right? So let's call this 5. All right. And again, it does not include the actual value 5, so we are going to make an open circle, and then we'll try this stupid line thing again and see if I'm going to see if it will let me. There we go. Let's see if we can change the color here. Sorry, you guys are having to be part of this. All right, we'll go 6, and we're going to go boom, and I guess it only does that when you change it. All right, so let's make it, we'll do 4, all right? And then we will put a head on it. All right, so that's what we got, right? All these values apply, right? So if you found 10, which would be right over here, 10 is greater than 5, right? And it fits the criteria for being part of this set. So that's how these work. Hope this is helpful, and we'll see you in the next video. Yeah, all right.